My goal is to increase awareness. And if they can look at themselves, look at their lifestyle, maybe look at their medical conditions that they may be treated for, maybe look at the medications that they're on, what is one thing that they can change after listening to my presentation of Fit to Fight, and start with that, with the ultimate goal of increasing overall health and fitness, making one change in their nutritional approach and their lifestyle, and then make those changes permanent so that it becomes an entire lifestyle approach to overall health and fitness and increase in human performance. This started when I was having conversations with some of my physician officer colleagues up in Minneapolis, Minnesota, when I was in the Air Force Reserve in the 934th. I again felt that there was a missing link. I felt that I had a unique background in education that I could really be of benefit to many people. So I talked to a couple of my flight surgeon colleagues. I said, you know, I've been making notes and read plenty of books over the years, and I think I got this presentation that could fit the troops well. So I've tweaked it over the years, and the current approach is what we call the Fit to Fight approach. And that isn't really following one particular diet. Years ago, it was really centered on the paleo diet, the caveman diet. And then the keto diet came around, and then the Mediterranean diet, and all these diet. Well, you know how diets work. People follow it for maybe 30 days, and then it go back to eating their old ways. So my approach now is more so along the lines of making proper nutritional choices, increasing greens, beans, onions, mushrooms, berries, and seeds that Dr. Joel Fuhrman has called G-bombs. So it's making proper nutritional choices, it's educating them on the things to avoid and the things to eat. And that's really what we call the Fit to Fight approach. As a flight surgeon and an emergency medicine physician with a subspecialty board certification in sports medicine, I've got a unique background, which really starts back in the 1980s when I started in the martial arts and started studying fitness and nutrition, and then went on to get a degree in exercise science from the University of Nebraska, Omaha. That led me to 2 sports medicine certifications, one a health fitness instructor with the American College of Sports Medicine, and the second as a certified strength and conditioning specialist with the NSCA, the National Strength and Conditioning Association. So it was those certifications and that background then that led me into applying to medical school as an osteopathic physician. So I graduated in 1994, and a lot of people don't know what a DO, an osteopathic physician, is. In street terms, the best way to think of it is like a combination of an MD plus a chiropractor. So we study all the Western medicine sciences, but in addition to that, an extensive background in musculoskeletal medicine. So we do spinal manipulation and things of that nature. When it comes to making changes in nutrition, if you're really looking to make nutritional changes, try to change one thing at a time. And I usually say, try to really limit breads and cereals off the bat, since those are the most inflammatory foods out there. They contain the most processed chemicals out there, which end up being a stressor to the human body, and substitute those with fruits and vegetables and whole foods, if you will. Increase the water intake, stay well hydrated, and really stay active. 30 minutes before you eat, try to do a good 45 to 60 seconds of a body workout. And that's nothing more than wall push-ups or body weight squats for 45 to 60 seconds, a half hour before you eat, and then again 30 minutes after you eat. And that helps take the food that you've eaten, take that sugar that's in your bloodstream and shove it into your muscle cells, as opposed to keeping it in the bloodstream, which then increases your insulin and your cortisol levels. And those are stressors, and those decrease fat burning and increase fat storage. It has taken me down the path of really trying to, number one, maintain fitness, but number two, look at some areas of deficiency in our military warriors, the same as I look for areas of deficiency in the martial arts warriors that I deal with. Many times the fitness level is where it needs to be. The strength and conditioning many times is where it needs to be. But a lot of times, especially we've seen in a military environment now with the COVID and the increase in stresses in our day-to-day military warriors, we've seen stress go up, we've seen depression go up. Obviously, the subject of suicide is up there as well. So really maintaining that entire, what I call the biopsychosocial wheel, not only maintaining health and fitness, but also spiritual, social health, as well as psychological health. And that comes through not only maintaining fitness, but also proper nutrition. Nutrition is, I feel, the missing link where we go wrong when we try to maintain total health. And I preached this for many years in my private practice to my patients, is that they want a pill for an ill, as opposed to stepping back and looking at the entire aspect of the person and looking at their entire lifestyle. Where are their deficiencies? Are they deficient in sleep? Is their sleep hygiene poor? Is their diet poor? Are they putting lousy fuel into a Cadillac body and trying to maintain a top level of human performance? It's no different with our martial arts warriors and our military warriors. It's the same thing. We try to keep them ready. And by ready, I mean mentally, physically, spiritually, socially ready. So in terms of becoming a ready tactical warrior, we need to think in terms of total health. And in total health, in order to maximize human performance, we always look at components of fitness to include cardiovascular endurance, muscular strength, muscular endurance, flexibility, and body fat percentage. So we can get to that point by rounding out what we call the biopsychosocial wheel to include fitness, nutrition, hydration, mental health, spiritual, social things, yoga, meditation, things of that nature. So we ultimately want to put top grade fuel in a high performance body. And in order to do that, we've had problems in our Western culture diet over the decades and decades with what we call the SAD diet, the standard American diet, which is loaded with fat, sugars, oils, salts, additives, preservatives, very nutrient poor and calorie dense. So what's the problem with that? Well, it has led to many inflammatory diseases that increased exponentially really over the last 100 years. So those include cancers, diabetes, strokes, heart attacks, high blood pressure, obesity, things of that nature. The standard American diet is very pro-inflammatory. It wreaks havoc on the body. Chronic inflammation leads to all of these chronic diseases that we just mentioned. So what is the problem with that? Well, over the years it has led to a condition known as a leaky gut. There's been numerous books and hundreds of studies written about the gut microbiome, the powerhouse center of our body. It's basically the gut and the intestines. It's a powerhouse of 38 trillion cells. It houses our digestion, our hormones. It's the center of our immune system, basically. And since 1870, when we started to roll mill white flour, processed white flour, that's when we started to see these inflammatory diseases increase exponentially. 1970s, high fructose corn syrup came on the market, and by 1984, it was off with a vengeance. High fructose corn syrup, along with our standard American diet, leads to high levels of blood sugar. Insulin is released to bring down the blood sugar. Well, insulin is kind of like the bully at a party. It does its job, but it still keeps circling and wreaking havoc. Insulin, along with cortisol, which is the stress hormone, and alcohol are the three things that will decrease fat burning in our body and increase fat storage. We know that toxins and poisons turn cancer genes on, and nutrients turn cancer genes off. Fat cells are really a dumping ground for toxins and poisons for these these bad things to percolate and grow. So what destroys the gut microbiome? Several things. Crap food, CRAP, completely refined and processed food, sugar, salt, oils, additives, antibiotics, anti-inflammatory medications such as Motrin and Aleve, for example, certain prescription medications as well lead to a damaged gut. So how do you know if you have a leaky gut? People ask that question all the time. Well, if you have digestive issues, diarrhea, constipation, bloating, if you have autoimmune diseases such as lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, for example, mental health issues, if you have joint aches, body aches, headaches, things of that nature, you can pretty much bet that you've got a leaky gut. The bottom line is junk food in the mouth is a junk microbiome, is a junk immune system. You can't take a C- gut and probiotic your way to an A+ gut, but you can take a C- gut and get to an A- gut through diet and proper lifestyle changes. How do you know what to do? Your goal is really to become a nutritarian, and this is a term that was coined by physician Dr. Joel Fuhrman. Basically, consuming a diet that is nutrient dense and not so much calorie dense. We know the calorie sources are carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Your non-calorie sources are your vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, plant chemicals known as phytochemicals. The ultimate aim of becoming a nutritarian is to improve the protein quality. We know that beef and meat are nutrient poor, and greens, nuts, and seeds, for example, are nutrient dense. Dr. Fuhrman also coined the term G-bombs, which is greens, beans, onions, mushrooms, berries, and seeds, which are very nutrient dense. So how do I improve my gut microbiome and treat my leaky gut syndrome? Really 5 things. Number 1, try to cut out sugar as best you can. Number 2, try to add G-bombs, greens, beans, onions, mushrooms, berries, and seeds. Number 3, try to avoid the crap foods, completely refined and processed foods. Number 4, fiber. That's food for the bacteria. And number 5, try to hit probiotics, sauerkraut, kimchi, kefir. Try to avoid the crap foods, like breads, cereals, anything with salt, oil, and sugar. Try to avoid those things. High sugar condiments such as ketchup, barbecue sauce, mayonnaise, tartar sauce. Those things are loaded in sugar, and really go toward the good condiments such as basil, pesto, salsa, hummus, avocados. Those are very healthy, fat-burning foods. A 2014 study by the Harvard School of Public Health showed that by decreasing red meat and beef by 3.5 servings per week, you can decrease the potential onset of diabetes by as high as 14 to 15%. A better choice would be lean toward fish choices that are more healthy and omega-3 fatty acids such as salmon and mackerel. So what's the big deal with fiber? People always talk about fiber. You see commercials on TV about Metamucil. This is really not your grandparents' Metamucil to help with bowel movements. Fiber really is where the rubber meets the road. In the process of digestion of fiber in the body, the bacteria break down and enzymes break down fiber and form these chemicals called short-chain fatty acids. We'll call them SCFAs, short-chain fatty acids. And they include butyrate, acetate, and propionate. So these short-chain fatty acids protect the heart, protect the brain, they bump up our immune system, they decrease cholesterol, they're very protective. They help heal leaky gut, they're anti-inflammatory, they're anti-cancer, they help with diabetes, they help with heart disease, and they're extremely protective for the body, and probably the biggest missing nutrient in our Western culture diet. If you add the proper nutrient choices, you're going to activate cellular repair and really crank up your anti-inflammatory immune system. So let's take a look again at all of the inflammatory diseases that we've talked about thus far. Cardiovascular disease, cancers, diabetes, strokes, high blood pressure, obesity. There's ways to deal with that. There's ways to improve your overall diet and lifestyle and make healthy choices. The bottom line is the root cause is in your gut. Chronic inflammation is in your gut. Brain hormones are in your gut. Your immune system is in your gut. The detoxification system is in your gut. Ignore your gut and those inflammatory diseases will increase significantly. So the ultimate goal is to really work on progress over perfection. It's okay to eat imperfect because we all are. As long as you're making smart choices, start low and go slow.